minutes. So that was going to be a challenge. And you look at the Currie Cup at that time, it was about 26 average. It was about 26 minutes. So we had to do something about it, and to see an improvement from then last year at the beginning when we came back, and then you see this year when the last couple of games that we've been playing, the standard has been really, really improved. And you could see even our players skill-wise, they've been improved also when it comes to their skills.
Thank you, Coach Stick. And the next one is Nathan.
Hi, Buddha Stick. The squad hasn't played for over 2 years in an international game. How important will the chemistry be in the lead up to the Georgia then Lions test, or will it help having the majority of the 2019 World Cup squad in the mix?
Okay. Yeah, like I said, the last time we played together as a team, it was in the final of 2019. And you know what's a nice thing about the whole situation? The last time the British and Irish Lions played as a team, it was also in 2017. So, we can't say we are in a disadvantaged position at the moment as a team. So both teams, I think they're in the equal scale. And the other thing is from our side, I know we haven't played test match like I've mentioned earlier on, but the good thing is that if you look at the core of our squad, those are the players. We're talking about players that are playing overseas. If you look at the players that are playing for Sale Sharks, those players have been playing week in, week out, and we're talking about tough physical competitions that side. And some of our players that were also playing in France, and we had about 5 players that were playing in Japan, and if you look at those players, they've probably got about each player about between 8 and 10 games in the last couple of months. So, which is good. We are in a good position. And you look at our local players, guys like Olukanyo, guys like Ox, those guys, they've been playing week in, week out. And also to have our captain, Sia Kolisi, we're moving to Durban and then get to have some more game time also on that side. So we are actually in a good space, Nathan, and but once again, we going to those warm-up games against actually the games that we're going to play against Georgia, and we're also going to take an opportunity and use the SAA game as also part of our preparations to get to the test match, So I think we are in a good space. The time for excuses now, no one is interested to listen to our excuses. And I have to be honest and say, as a squad at the moment, we've been doing very, very well, to manage to put our systems in place with our players that we've got here in Bloemfontein. So once again, there's no excuse now, Nathan, so we are actually excited and looking forward to this challenge.
Thank you, Coach Stick. And the next question goes to Fatima Said.
Thanks, Rayan. Hi, Coach Stick. You have a very mixed group in terms of players, the selection of age and also youth selection this year. So just in terms of the team, have you seen the youth players, for example, if I could put it, the newer youth players, how have you seen them adapt into the BOK environment?
Yeah, Fatima, you know what? Having some young blood in our side, it always brings some new vibe, some new energy. If you look at the guys like Sanelelo Hamba, Yao Peng, Apelele Fasi, there's a couple of them, even the new players like Jasper Vizi, those guys are bringing some new energy. And the nice thing about the balance that we've got in our team, like I've said earlier on, we've got a lot of experienced players, that are leading by example. So it's always good to have some matured head, around the team. And so I'm excited. The youngsters have really, really brought some new energy in our system. And also, once again, like when we talk about our goals as a team, we really, really want to build some depth in our Springbok family. So we don't want to wait for a guy like Faf de Klerk, for example. If you look at his age, we don't want maybe after 5 years when Faf decides to move on from test match level, then all of a sudden we have to go and start from scratch with the next player who's going to take over from him. So I think the balance in our squad, if you look at the experience and even the guys that are in the middle of their careers, like Herschel Jangist, you think about the age difference between Faf, Herschel, and you go to Sanel. I think there we've got a good balance when it comes to those players. So once again, the youngsters, they really bringing some new energy in our system, and yeah, we are excited. Hopefully, one or two of them will get some opportunity in those games against Georgia, and also hopefully against the British and Irish Lions.
Thank you. We go over to Adnan Mohammed, who's also in Cape Town, for the next question to Coach Stick.
Hi, Stick. I think you spoke about the last time we see. I think it was saw each other was at the World Cup just after the final, and it's nice to see you and hear you again. Just to follow up on Fatima's question about the young players, the last press conference, Coach Jacques Nienaber spoke about the importance of your role in the team, the task that, especially the work of the ball, how the players improved in that department, and how important it was in you guys winning the World Cup. Has there been any changes besides that role and stuff that you have looked at where the team has to improve on, especially bearing in mind the youngsters coming in?
Yeah, Adnan, I think the question that you are asking, it's a very important question, more especially going to play against the British and Irish Lions. If you go back to the World Cup and you talk about the World Cup performance, yes, we really did well when it comes to the off the ball stuff and work rate wise, So that is something that we need to improve on. It wasn't at its best, If you're looking for about 100% performance, probably in the World Cup to win the World Cup final, we were probably close to 90%, if I had to rate it with percentage. But currently, to play against the British and Irish Lions, you're going to have to be at your best in every department that you do. So for me, working close with the defense coach, Jacques, and then Felix as an attack coach, we'll have to make sure that we are at our best when it comes to those 3 test matches. Because remember, again, for each and every position that you're going to be playing against, you're talking about you're playing against the top 4 best players in the Northern Hemisphere, whereas if you go to the World Cup final when we played against England, and then Carl Sinclair got injured in the first 2 minutes of the game, there was a big gap between the starting tight end prop at that time and maybe with the guy that came off the bench. But unfortunately, when it comes to the British and Irish Lions, even the guy that is on the bench, he's world class. If you look at how they selected their squad, with their loosies, they've got quick loosies, they've got guys that can really play towards the breakdown, So we are actually going to be challenged the way we're going to need a massive work rate from our players and also making sure that we win the numbers game. So yeah, we did well in the World Cup. I think for the challenge against British and Irish Lions, we're going to have to be at our best and make sure that we keep improving off the ball.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Ashfaq Mohammed, you up next.
Hi, Stuka, how are you?
Good, my brother. Thanks, and you?
All right, man.
But why is Ryan asking all his friends at Nand and asking you? What about other people?
I thought I'm also your friend, Stuka.
I want disclaimer. I call up according to the list of names that pops up here.
Stuka, you mentioned Apelele Fassi earlier, and his progress over the last few years has been amazing to see. Now that he's in a Bok environment, what do you expect from him and perhaps areas he can improve on? He seems to have the whole package, though, under the high ball. You spoke about work off the ball, but also coming into the back line. I know Jacques always speaks about the old dogs like Mapims and Vali and Jason as your back 3, but of course, Apelele is also a youngster coming through.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, actually, where we are currently, you still got guys like Willie Leroux, who's got a massive experience, who understand what it takes to be at the top level, test match level. So the biggest thing for us was to give an opportunity to youngsters like Apelele. You've mentioned that he needs to feed off what Willie's experience. So we don't have to wait for Willie to retire and then we have to start from scratch when it comes to Apelele. So what they've been doing very well in our system currently, in our camps here, is the fact that, those lighters, they're really, really asking good questions when it comes to our experienced players. They go to Willie, they interact with them, they train with them. They want to understand, what are these things that are those experienced players that they see in the game? What are the triggers that they're picking up? What is the stuff that they do also off the field that helps them to be prepared for the games? So once again, I always tell people that Apelele Fassi doesn't have to wait for 7 years to have the same experience that Willie have. If Willie can help the youngster now, whereas in 2 to 3 months when Lighty gets an opportunity to play a test match, at least he knows what it takes to be there, and then he understands exactly the triggers that some of the players they see when it comes to experience. So once again, we really, really want to make sure we build the depth in our squad, and also making sure that if the opportunity comes, and Jacques wants to select one of the youngsters, those youngsters will also fit in nicely with the experienced players. Because you don't want to give, for example, Aphelele Fassi the same time with the Roscoe Speckman, for example, or Yao Peng at the same time. We're not helping. We're not helping if we're going to put them because of the test match level. It's really, there's a massive pressure there. So you really want to make sure that you build the confidence where they work with the experienced players around them.
Thank you. So we go from Cape Town to Gauteng, and Ken Boland, you had your hand up. No? Okay, we move on. And the next question goes to Stephen Nell.
Thank you, Ryan. Hi, Coach. Thanks for chatting to us. I just want to ask you, how far are you guys from having the full quotient of players at your disposal, and including that, Erge and Damien, what the prognosis is there, and with Dwayne. So just the whole squad thing, and those were obviously quite serious injuries. And then just secondly, if I may, Damien Willemse, how's he going, and what kind of space is he in mentally, and where do you guys see his future?
Yeah, firstly, on your first question, I think if you're looking at the squad that we've got currently here in Bloemfontein, we're talking about probably 80% of our squad. As you know, that some of the players at the Sale Sharks, they're still playing currently overseas, guys like Faf and Dan Dupree and then JL. And also going to Cheslin Colby in France, and Reinhard Elstad. Some of those guys are still playing there, and then hopefully as soon as they finish that side. And also remember, there's also Regulation 9 where some of those players we can't use in the camps, the players from France. But once again, to have players from Japan that are part of our squad currently, those players and our local players that we're playing in the Super Rugby and the Currie Cup. We've got our local players with us, so we are actually got a good. Probably if you're looking at a squad of 46, we've got probably about 30 players in our squad at the moment that we're working with, which is a good thing for us. And then going to the injury players that you've asked about, unfortunately, the only thing I can comment about is the report that we get from our medical department. Those guys, Archie and Damien, they're Linde on that side. They're still waiting to go for some checkup. Also, I think it's about next week. As soon as those guys are clear to travel, we'll probably take that opportunity and make sure that we come. We bring them in South Africa, and then maybe they have to go through the rehab with our medical team. So that's a report that we've got from our medical staff. And then with Dwayne also, we all know that Dwayne went through the operation last week, and once again, the news that we get from the doctor, things went well with Dwayne. And, Dwayne is not a youngster, so we're going to have to give him the best possible support to make sure that he fully recovers. And then whenever he's free to join the squad, he'll surely be part of our squad. And then Damien Linde, it's actually funny that earlier in the week we spoke about him. He's actually at his best shape I've ever seen with him. I've worked with him since the 2017 at the junior box. But the space where he is currently, and you look at the last couple of games that he played for Stormers, when it comes to under high balls, when it comes to confidence, when it comes to him taking, showing his X factor, I think he's in a good space. And also to get an opportunity to bring him into our system, to work with him and keep on improving his fundamentals. It's a massive thing for me as a coach. But once again, I'm excited to see what he's going to bring in this season. And yeah.
Thank you, Coach Stick. And the next question, Percival Young. Percy, you're up next.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Great, Coach Stick. Ryan, I just want to ask a logistical question to you first before I ask Coach Stick a question. Ryan, can I ask you, has the president's announcement now the other night, has that any impact on your preparation and the squad itself?
Percy, the squad obviously operates with the utmost of safety in mind. So yeah, and if you want further questions, obviously we can take that offline. But at the moment, You know, the squad has got a program, like I said, with all the necessary safety requirements in mind, and that is how we're operating at the moment. Your question to Stick would be, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rian. Coach Stick, thank you. Nice chatting to you again. Coach Stick, can I just ask you, just as a follow-up to your answer now, can I ask you, with you guys only having a certain amount of players currently at the squad, and I read somewhere that you might only have a full complement of squad on the 27th of June, will that have an impact on your thinking ahead of that first 2 test matches against Georgia, for instance? Will those players who are based overseas at the moment and because of Regulation 9, would they still be in contention for those possible first 2 test matches?
Yeah, Percy, I think with all the players that will be part of our squad at that time, you know, when we get all the players from France also, we will probably look to select the best possible team, you know, to play against Georgia, because once again, it's an opportunity for us to make sure that we put all the systems in place. So to go back to your question, we will probably select our best possible match 23.
Thank you, Coach. And the next question goes to Filisande.
Thanks, Ryan. Plastic Brand.
Right.
Man. I just wanted to find out, Plastic, from a game management point of view. I mean, you obviously would have been looking at Georgia in the first few weeks of the international season, going into the Lions series. From a game plan perspective, what have you guys sort of picked up on, you know, sort of the patterns that, and you probably would have looked at some of the previous 2 tours from the Lions in New Zealand and Australia, and some of the trends that are going in the Northern Hemisphere, from your Scotlands to your Wales. What have you picked up in terms of what Warren Gatland and Gregor Townsend, from an attack point of view, would have been looking to implement for the Lions, and sort of how to counter that by some of the micro skills that you might incorporate into the backline?
Yeah, Pilar. Firstly, let me go to Georgia. We know what we expect from Georgia. They're a very, very physical side. And, you know, when it comes to the set pieces, they will always challenge you. And also when it comes to also the collision of the game, that is something that the Georgians they take pride in it, you know. So physically, we are going to be challenged. And actually, that is the kind of practice and challenge that we're looking for before going to the series, you know. So once again, we have to make sure that we are at our best when it comes to the physical side of the game, when it comes to playing against the Georgians. And going back to the British and Irish Lions, like I said to you, probably maybe when you play against certain teams in the World Cup, you know, there will probably be weakness where we can capitalize from. But playing against the British and Irish Lions, probably they're gonna those guys will be at their best in all departments. If you talk about the aerial skills, we know the Northern Hemisphere sides, they're gonna really give us a physical challenge up there. And then also, if you look at the balance, how they've selected their squad, you know, they've also selected a lot of good players. I'm talking about now on the breakdown. If you look at the guys like Watson and you look at the guy like Tom Curry there, you know, those players will really give us a tough challenge on the breakdowns. And once again, the Northern Hemisphere teams, you know very well that they will always be physical. So unfortunately for us, we're going to have to be at our best in all departments, you know. So there won't be any weakness that we can, unfortunately, capitalize from. For us to win the games against them, we're going to have to be at our best in all departments. And once again, that is the challenge that we're looking for. And we're actually excited for it.
Thank you for that answer, Coach Stick. And we will end off your section with one more question, and that goes to Carl Fabian.
Coach, thank you for taking the time to answer all the questions. With questions I think Brendan asked regarding the injuries and everything, you guys don't seem to be in a hurry to replace people at this stage of your preparation. Do you feel that the squad that you have is adequate, or do you feel that outside of the squad there's not people that is not really knocking on the door for selection?
Yeah, Carl, I think there's a lot of players, I'm talking about good players, that are on standby currently, you know, that are currently playing Currie Cup. If you look at the guys at the Bulls like Lizo Kopoka, you know, and guys like Marcel Kutse. Those are the guys that can step up at any time when they're given an opportunity. But once again, we are actually not in a rush because of one thing. We want those other guys also. If you think about a guy like Marcel, if for us to bring him into the camp, you know, it will probably mean that he's going to miss some game time at the Bulls, you know. Remember, he hasn't played before. He played his first game for the Bulls. He hasn't played for a couple of weeks. So we actually wanted them to have more game time. A guy like Lizo Popoka also was also going through the rehab, you know, so it will be stupid for us to bring in those guys into the camp where we don't give them game time, you know. And the other thing is that if you look at the balance in our squad, for example, if I can talk about our hookers, you know that you've got your two probably World Cup winners with a guy like Marco Max and Bongi, you know, and Skara, who has been around, who's not a youngster, who's actually, I think, around his 30s, you know, 29, 30, his age, you know. So it is very important for us to make sure that if you select the fourth choice hooker there, you're actually selecting a youngster that you know that is going to grow into our squad, you know. So to have a guy like Joseph Dweba in our system as a fourth hooker at the moment. So that is a depth that we're trying to build in our squad. So if you ask us about maybe one of the experienced players gets injured, which is if you look at the top three, you know that for sure. You've still got another experienced guy like Skaran Tuben, to understand, who can also step in. So if you look at most of our positions, you know, that is the balance that we try to find, you know, to make sure that at least the top three players can play the test match level at any time. Otherwise, if the youngsters also, they pick up their hands, you know, and really show us in the next couple of weeks that they've got what it takes to physically play at the test match level, and also when it comes to their fundamentals, the skills of the game. Once again, if those players are ready, hopefully Jacques will be able to select from them. But yeah, we trust all the players that are in our squad, and also once again, some of the players out there that are playing currently that are going to Italy with the Bulls. We know that they've got good couple of youngsters there that we can also bring them in anytime when there's another probably major injuries in our squad.